In the entire Mahabharata, with all its warriors, gods, and kings, one man made a single promise that caused more death than any weapon ever forged. He called it honor. History calls it the most destructive oath ever spoken.
His name was Devavrat, Prince of Hastinapur, the greatest warrior of his age, trained by the gods themselves. The throne was his by birth, by right, and by ability. No one in the world could defeat him. No one even came close.
And then his father, King Shantanu, fell in love. Not with a queen, not with a princess of any great house, with Satyavati, a fisherman's daughter, beautiful, ambitious, and standing on the banks of the Yamuna with a smile that would change the course of history.
But Satyavati's father was no fool. He looked at the king and said, "Marry her, but her sons must inherit the throne, not Devavrat. Her blood, her line, her children on the throne of Hastinapur."
Shantanu refused. He would never ask his son to give up the throne. So he went home and began to wither. The king who had conquered nations couldn't conquer his own longing. And Devavrat, who loved his father more than anything, saw him dying from the inside.
Devavrat went to Dashraj himself. He said, "I renounce the throne. My father's happiness matters more than any crown. Give him your daughter. The throne is hers. I want nothing."
But Dashraj pushed further. He said, "What about your children? Your sons will challenge her sons." And Devavrat understood. The throne wasn't enough. He had to give up everything. His future, his bloodline, his right to love, his right to be human. And he swore it, in front of the gods and the river and the sky. Devavrat swore lifelong celibacy. No wife, no children, no legacy, nothing. The sky cracked open, the gods rained flowers, the earth shook, and the voice of heaven spoke. "From this day, you are Bhishma, he of the terrible oath."
And Bhishma kept his word. He brought 3 princesses to Hastinapur, Amba, Ambika, and Ambalika, brides for his half-brother Vichitravirya. He raided their ceremony, carried them away on his chariot, a warrior fulfilling his duty to a throne he would never sit on.
But Amba had a secret. She loved another man, King Shalv. She begged Bhishma to release her, and he did. He sent her back. But Shalv refused her. A woman taken by another man, even unwillingly, was ruined. Amba had nowhere to go, and no one to blame, except the man who had stolen her from her life.
Amba swore her own oath. She would be the cause of Bhishma's death. Not in this life. She couldn't touch him, but she threw herself into a fire and was reborn as Shikhandi, a warrior, carrying a grudge that had survived death itself.
Decades passed. Bhishma watched Hastinapur rot from the inside. Weak kings, poisoned politics, the dice game. And the worst day of all, Draupadi dragged into the court by her hair, humiliated in front of 100 men. And Bhishma, the most powerful man in the room, sat silent, because his oath bound him to the throne, not to justice, to the throne.
That's the trap no one talks about. Bhishma's oath didn't just cost him a crown. It turned him into a weapon that anyone sitting on the throne could aim. The Kauravas sat on the throne, so Bhishma served the Kauravas, even knowing they were wrong, even knowing they would drag the world into war. And then the war came, Kurukshetra, and Bhishma, the man who could have prevented all of it, rode out at the head of the Kaurav army, commander-in-chief, fighting for the side he knew was wrong, the greatest warrior in the world, on the wrong side of history. For 10 days, Bhishma was unstoppable. He cut through the Pandav ranks like a scythe through wheat. Thousands fell. The greatest generals couldn't touch him. Arjun couldn't defeat him. No one could. Because Bhishma wasn't just fighting with skill. He was fighting with nothing left to lose.
Krishna knew there was only one way to stop Bhishma. Not with strength, not with strategy. With the one person Bhishma would refuse to fight. Shikhandi, Amba reborn, the woman he had ruined, come back as a warrior, carrying a grudge older than death. Day 10. Shikhandi rode out in front, and Bhishma, the man who had never once lowered his weapons in 60 years of war, saw the soul of Amba looking out from Shikhandi's eyes, and he lowered his bow. Arjun fired from behind Shikhandi, arrow after arrow after arrow, hundreds of them. Bhishma fell. The most powerful warrior in the Mahabharata, brought down not by strength, but by a get he owed. His body pierced by so many arrows that when he fell from the chariot, the arrows held him above the ground. A bed of arrows, the only bed Bhishma would ever know. Both armies stopped. Pandavas and Kauravas alike came to where Bhishma lay. The man who had fought for the wrong side, mourned by both sides, because everyone knew he was the best of them, and his oath had made him the worst of them, in the same life, in the same body. He asked for one thing, a pillow. Arjun, the man who had shot him down, fired 3 arrows into the ground behind Bhishma's head, an arrow pillow for an arrow bed. Even in his fall, the warrior in him wouldn't accept comfort, only precision. 58 days on that arrow bed. The war ended. The Pandavas won, and still Bhishma lay there, waiting, not for death, for the right time. He had the boon of Ichamrityu,
death at will. He would choose his moment, and while he waited, he taught.
On the day the sun turned north, Uttarayan, the most auspicious moment in the Hindu calendar, Bhishma finally let go. 58 days of waiting, a lifetime of suffering, and his death was the one thing he controlled perfectly. Calm, chosen, dignified, the way he had lived, on his own terms. Count the dead, 18 days of war, millions of warriors, entire bloodlines erased, every single death at Kurukshetra, every son who didn't come home, every wife who lit a funeral pyre, every kingdom left without a king, traces back to one promise, made by a boy on the banks of the Yamuna who loved his father too much.
Was Bhishma's oath the greatest sacrifice in the Mahabharata, or the most destructive act of ego ever committed? A man who gave up everything and, in doing so, took everything from everyone else. Tell us what you think. Subscribe, because next episode, a 16-year-old walks into a trap set by 7 generals. They cheated. He fought anyway. Abhimanyu's trap.